Hey everyone, and welcome to the first garden tour of 2024. Yes, today we're now in mid-April. It's a glorious day. 18 degrees, the beautiful spring sun is shining. I'm at the Secret Garden of Louth. This incredible garden is really the passion, the lifelong development of Jenny and Roger. It really is an absolutely stunning garden. If you like tropical plants and exotic gardens, you'll love this video. And I guarantee later on in the video, there'll be some plants that you probably haven't even heard of before. If you enjoy gardens that really look majestic and beautiful in spring, then again, there's some beautiful plants in here. Gorgeous spring blooms, beautiful foliage. This garden really has it all. This video will be the first part in a three-part series. Throughout this year, I really wanted to capture the development, the progress, the evolution of a tropical style or exotic garden through the seasons. So this video is April. The garden currently is about to get incredibly busy. As you can see, propagation, the winter storage, getting plants planted out, that really is ramped up to 10. Things are going to get more crazy from here. Next part in the series will be early summertime, just before they open the garden to the public, which they do through the NGS every year. And I'll really show you what it looks like with more of the tropical plants, the tender plants, the bedding in place. And then I'll come back at the back end of the season, late autumn time, to really show you, once the people have gone, just how much these exotic plants and tropical beauties really thrive in those long, warm days that we've got to look forward to. So I really hope you enjoy this video. I've got to say, I really am so thankful for Jenny and Roger for giving me this opportunity, for being prepared to show the garden as very much a work in progress at this time of year, share a bit of behind the scenes and really sort of effort, the dedication and the madness that goes into creating a tropical garden in summer like you haven't seen before. So you'll absolutely love this. Two of the most friendly, passionate and dedicated exotic gardeners you'll ever meet, and this is their creation. So let's set off on a gentle spring tour, showing some of the beauties that are in the garden right now and the promise of what's to come later in the year. I hope you enjoy it. So this is the entrance to your garden. The rosemary's looking beautiful, isn't it?
It is. It's just, they've all opened now. I started taking pictures myself when they were just tiny little things, and then now it's just gorgeous. I love it. Anyone's got a Mediterranean type area, I think it fits in. It would fit in very nicely.
Definitely.
It's tough as old boots. What more could you want?
Exactly.
You can cut it all back, which I will do in the summer probably when the flowers are done. Yeah, I usually trim it back just because I've got other things coming out for the summer, so you can keep your plants somewhat under control.
Yes. There's so many.
It used to be a bedroom.
Yes. So heading out into, I guess this is a sort of, what do you call this area? Your sort of pond entrance to your garden?
Yeah, koi pond area.
That is beautiful. Some lovely fish in there, isn't there? I know that's Roger's domain, isn't it?
It is. We've had a problem with the filtrate. Well, it started with the UV light.
Yeah, right.
And it went all green, and then he's put this stuff in it that's supposed to be helping. I think slowly it is, because I can see the fish now.
Oh, they look very happy, don't they?
And it went this funny bluey colour, so, you know, hopefully a couple more weeks and it'll be back to its lovely clear like it is most of the year.
Certainly, and I love the noise that it brings to this area of your garden. That sort of gentle babbling, it's beautiful. Something I need to do in my garden at home, to be honest with you. But onto the plants, because I think that's what people really want to see today.
Yeah, definitely.
Firstly, let's look over here. There's succulents, isn't it? I guess you brought these outside fairly recently, haven't you?
Well, they're just dumped at the moment. We needed the space in there for seed sowing and what have you, so we just kicked them all out last weekend. And
so we're now mid-April and there isn't a frost in the forecast, so you've just sort of put them outside a relatively sheltered spot, haven't you? And just let them get a bit of sun, get them started off.
There's still a lot more the spikies, as I call them, the agave type things. I couldn't reach them yet. They're on the windowsill.
No, and we'll head inside later on in the video to show people some of the incredible rarities and everything you've got in the go. But on the subject of plants, let's look at some of these in pots here. So firstly, this palm, do you know what this one is?
It's eriospatha. Is it?
Oh, the Butia.
Yeah, eriospatha.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
It's not going to stay where it is.
No.
I know where I'm going to put it over there, which might turn out a good idea. It might turn out a bad one.
I'm sure it'll turn out a good idea.
And
why did you actually choose this particular one?
Because I've got a couple of others of the eriospatha, and I've also got, what's the other one? Capitata?
Well, yeah, capitata or odorata.
And yeah, it's still alive, but it never looks as well after a winter as these do. It has a graceful look about it, with the arching
It almost has that
fronds
tropical, like a genuinely tropical look, doesn't it, instead of a Mediterranean look.
Down here I wanted some of this style of palm, not like your trachy fronds, which are great, but...
Oh, they're fantastic, and we'll see some of those later on.
It's a spice of life, isn't it?
It certainly is, and that's probably the tagline as we head through your garden, isn't it? There's everything on the go. And what's that I can see over there? Is that some new plants you just bought recently? We'll have to have a look at those.
I've had a bee in my bonnet this year for spring. So I've decided, I'm a person who likes all sorts of plants. It never started out as an exotic garden, but went overboard on building the exotic side of it. And now I'm thinking, well, actually I like all these and I don't like the bare soil in the early part of the year. So
that's where these have come in, is it?
Yeah, and as your garden matures, you suddenly realise it's not such a sunny garden anymore.
No.
Which has happened to us. But it opens up a whole new world of different plants.
So out of these here, is there one in particular that you'd recommend to people who've got an exotic garden and shady areas? I mean, this epimedium looks lovely down here.
Epimediums, there's so many different ones of those, that lovely orange colours. I've got others down the garden. The foliage will fill out, so it fill quite a lot of ground.
Yeah, excellent ground cover.
That said, you're supposed to cut the foliage back and the new foliage comes, but most years I forget to do that.
I haven't done it on mine. No, definitely haven't.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
So you can appreciate and see the flowers, I guess, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's just little things. I've never had that before, but it's unusual. So you can still find bits that have a nice leaf. So
even with a garden as mature, established and full as yours, there's always room for more plants.
I mean, this is only a tiny wee baby. I've got some mature ones down there. The erythroniums, it's going to get bigger than that, of course.
Oh, definitely.
And trilliums, fantastic leaves on them, and just gives you something to go out and look for. And early in the year, when you might not be quite so drawn out there.
Oh no.
Otherwise, but all these things, such a variety of foliage in those if you look around.
Definitely, and as we head through your garden, I think the spring interest is going to be a key theme, isn't it? But what's these down here? These shade lovers. That's another Impatiens, is it?
Impatiens omiana, and I've got 2 or 3 different ones of those.
It's really stunning, that one, isn't it?
And it's been there for years, and last year and this, it's really liked the extra moisture we've had.
Yes. Oh, have you had a little bit out here as well? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's stunning. Later on, it does get a pale yellow flower on this one.
This is something I actually mentioned in a recent video about sort of shade-loving filler plants. The Impatiens are so useful in a tropical garden because they fill those spots like here under sort of mature shrubs, and under your big trees and palms.
You know, if you search around and pick your plants carefully. But flowers in the summer are gorgeous, but there's so many different shades and tones you can get just in foliage and colours and things. So, you know, if you're not a flower lover, it certainly doesn't have to be plain grassy green, you know.
And I think by sort of chance as well, a lot of the beautiful shade-loving foliage plants also flower early in spring, don't they? Like the hellebores to take advantage of the sort of less tree cover above them.
Of course, there's good old spotty dotty over there.
I saw yours further up the garden.
I mean, that one
beautiful.
Looks... The birds have been sitting in the tree leaving me messages on top of that, as you can see. So, but, you know...
That's beautiful. I do like those.
Lots of people want the hardier things to get the feel of the exotic feel. And if you get lots of foliage that's interesting...
And that's as bright and vivid as any flower, isn't it, once you see those undersides of the leaves?
Yeah, you know, if you can picture various foliages together when these are done, and I like, you know, they're nice for the wildlife and things as well, but there's some quite varied ones of those you can get hold of.
I think really whatever your interest is before tropical or exotic gardening, you know, it can soon work together with it, can't it? You can soon develop your garden, evolve your garden.
Especially in the spring, once you've got your basic evergreen exotic looking plants,
you can go wild.
Then you can add other things along. The hostas are just coming up now, but there's lots of wonderful ones of those. I can't remember the name of that little plant there.
No.
I should, but I don't. But look at how it's put out. Look at its gorgeous, shiny, glossy leaves. Hardy as anything. Yeah. You can look that one up later, George.
I'll try to. Someone can leave a comment below, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, somebody will know. If it's one that you happen to remember, then do tell us. I know it as soon as I hear it. I found the big round leaf.
Farfugium, is it?
Farfugium, the gigantean one. Yeah, there's another one over there somewhere. It's not done quite as well as that one, but it is alive. I know it's sheltered at this point as well, but That
No, it
stayed
looks
out.
lovely. So for people who don't know your garden, you open for the NGS in summer, don't you? And
Yeah.
the main attraction is really sort of a completely over-the-top, vibrant sort of summer display, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at this time of year, I think it really shows people that there isn't a lot of bare soil and there's still a lot to look at,
Yeah,
isn't
you
there?
can still enjoy your
Yeah.
garden all year round.
So this is a beautiful view here. I love your island.
Yeah, you normally you can't really see
No.
down from here. You won't, it's full. It has bananas, the huge insects, the
Yeah,
red
which we'll
ones,
see later on in the video, yes.
big cannas, and it just looks bonkers. And of course, there's the old, good old tough as old boots, Miscanthus giganteus, that's been on this island forever, and that'll get way up
Oh,
there.
sort of 3 metres tall, won't it?
Yeah,
that?
and it just looks fantastic. My poorly
That's a Brassaiopsis,
Yeah.
isn't it? That one, yeah. That's struggling, isn't it? There.
winter 22. It's been in the ground. What was it? A year or two? Because
Yeah.
I showed you when I got it.
It's probably about four years,
But
maybe.
it's- yeah, it spear pulled, and
Yeah,
Nigel
struggling,
was
isn't
totally
it?
shocked that had spear pulled, but it did. But he said, while there's any green left there, just
Yeah.
so we can disguise that through summer because
Oh.
it doesn't look so pretty.
Certainly. So this part of your garden, I guess, really is all about that impact in summer, isn't it? And raising the bed up,
Yeah.
it really shows off the sort of giant plants you're growing it. But I think it's really interesting to look around in spring and just see so many different sort of leaves and flowers. And I mean, hellebores are something that I've grown a couple of in my garden, but they deserve to be planted more in exotic schemes, don't
Yeah,
they?
they're all going over now. The
Yeah.
flowers on our page, I did put lots
I'm a
of
couple of weeks too
photos
late,
on.
aren't I?
Yeah, for these, but yeah, as you could, there's been lots of them, but I have splashed out a bit again this year. To me, that's a hardy plant that looks really exotic. Veratrum niger,
Excellent.
yeah, that one.
To me, it looks like something that would be an absolute magnet for slugs and snails, but
It is.
all right.
It is, but
You're
we're
getting
usually
away with it
prepared
here, aren't
for
you?
that, you know.
It looks lovely, and I really am amazed just sort of having a walk around your garden earlier, just how beautiful and lush it all looks, considering we're mid-April, and a lot of the tropical stuff really hasn't got going yet, has it? It's not even
still
outside.
indoors, isn't it, or in polytunnels and things.
But on the subject of exotic plants that have got going, I think really here, nestled in amongst the pans, it's these tree ferns. I mean, that plant over there, that really is one of the most stunning tree ferns I've seen. So look how ahead that one is. Mine have barely started pushing them
Yeah,
out.
the others have started coming up now, but this one was the most eager of all of them. When we unwrapped it, it's taken off. We used loft insulation, and they were starting to come up. It's like, let me out of here,
Yeah.
you know.
So we wrapped it just the right time, and that's something I'll be doing this weekend actually. Now we're mid-April, there isn't a frost, in the forecast, touch wood, so I'll be unwrapping mine and let them take in more rain and moisture, which we'll no doubt have.
Yeah.
That really is lovely. And
Fascinating to watch.
that one over there, that's majestic, isn't it? The length of the fronds on it,
Yeah.
it really is stunning.
That's the first one we ever had. That was.
No, it's amazing. I love the way you sort of presented this part of the garden, and this is actually something we're talking about just before we started filming, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This small fern here, how I know a lot of people, you see the big trunks in garden centre nurseries and you think, I must have a large one, but really the amount of greenery and frond length you've got there, as for 1 foot trunk, it really is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as you can see there, the croziers are all ready to go now, aren't they? Matter of days. Yeah. This tree fern is one that's struggled for you, hasn't it?
Yeah,
and
right from the word go.
I think the reason why it's worth mentioning this is that you can have multiples of a plant in your garden and just metres away.
Well, this one, the little one just below it.
Well, exactly,
so-
centimetres away. That one there is absolutely, enjoying life here, isn't it? Beautiful big fronds. This one here, it hasn't got the same green to it. The fronds are stunted.
Look at them, they're like miniature ones.
Oh yeah, as you were showing me earlier, I mean, that can be at best described cute, can't it? It's not exactly as
it never even
dramatic
gets
as you
properly
want.
green. It goes yellow all the time. We've tried all sorts, treated it exactly the same as all the others. So I've come to the conclusion that this tree always was a runt of the litter. It never was really going to perform, And we bought it without fronds, I hasten to add.
Right, okay.
So I won't do that again.
I know you did ask me, as a quote-unquote YouTube expert, which obviously I'm not, about how to actually revive plants like this, and I think you've done everything right. You've planted it in a spot with nice, gentle, dapple shade. You're giving it plenty of water. The soil here is beautifully rich, isn't it? Roger works hard to improve it. but for some reason, this particular one just isn't doing especially well, is it? So hopefully this one picks up, but I think it really shows that sometimes you can do everything you can for a plant and there's just weaker ones and stronger ones, aren't there?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's not necessarily something you've done wrong. If a plant's struggling like this, the best thing you can do is just look up on tips to help revive it. But ultimately, some plants like this are just really strong growers and others maybe not quite as much.
Yeah, we've tried for years thinking next year it'll be better, but it isn't.
No. So can we head across this beautiful bridge? I love the sort of mixture of, you know, planting and hard landscaping in your garden, and I think as we head through this way, there's definitely a lot more large exotic plants, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's lovely. So this is one of the other Butia palms, isn't it, that we spoke about?
Yes, yeah, it always looks a bit sicker after winter. And last year, winter 22, wasn't it?
Yeah, December 22, yeah.
The central ones did all go brown and get damaged.
Right, so it did sort of spear pull, did it?
But it didn't. This was it. Yeah, it's not pushing. They're sat there, brown and dead looking, and they're not pushing up either. Whereas on the others, they all are. So it's like watch this space with this, because I really don't know if it's fading away or not. So
hopefully it bounces back.
I'm hoping so. It might produce something, but at the minute it's just sat there deciding whether it wants to live or die, is what I see.
But with a lot of these big plants, especially palms like Butia, they are slow to grow, aren't they? So you've got to be patient with them, really, haven't you?
Yeah.
So,
but usually it's by now you'd see some signs of new life coming up.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
But that didn't pull, so I'm quite confused by that.
Maybe
at the moment.
give it a chance this spring, and then if not, have a bit of a sort of fumble around in the crown and see what you can pull out of it if there's any sort of dead material. I do like the way you've sort of presented it. So you've kept it in a pot, haven't you? Yeah,
we took we create bottomless pots, if you like.
Right, okay,
and then put all the rocks around. A lot of it, you know, I know it's not perfect, but other plants grow up and
I think
hide
it looks
it.
nice.
But it makes a bit more of a feature of it in the winter when there is little else. But the main thing was also, because we haven't got the space, it can't really put it out of the way when people are walking through.
Oh, yes.
Anything like that.
So just literally practically height-wise, the fronds.
And I wanted to raise it up so that I could still plant around it. I didn't want to lose all my other plants just for the sake of one palm, as beautiful as they can be. If all you want to grow is palms, then that's absolutely fine, but I wanted to keep a lot of other stuff around it. So
I do like it. I think for people who appreciate a palm like this wants a raised area, it wants a good drainage, it's a great solution in terms of raising one plant up, isn't it, while still enjoying that full border look. And
and the roots go down and get into the ground.
So. Oh, yeah, they'll be well into there now, won't they?
I'd have thought so, yeah.
So
we lost some very mature plants on this, particularly on this border winter. And although people say, oh, you're very sheltered here, yes, we are, but that has its downsides, because if the wind's not blowing, that year I actually filmed it myself because it was stunning. It was like fairyland, but it was like really freezing fog.
And do you know what? We're exactly the same.
And it was trapped in here. We had no breeze to drive it out, and I lost some really mature plants off here.
Do you know what you lost? What kind of plants?
Yeah, there was a
Pseudopanax
change. So I'd had it from a small plant, and it had grown and grown. It was nearly 6 foot tall, and it was fantastic. That went. I had the Pseudopanax
trifoliatus, isn't it? Trifoliatum.
Over that side, that went.
Yeah.
Slowly. You didn't realise. You thought it was okay to start with. And that was big. It'd been there a few years. And 2 cracking red cordylines, which were right up here.
Big plants, I remember those.
You know, as you can imagine would happen, you just got a border look at, now I'm happy with that. and then it's gone, so you're back to
nature rolls the
square
dice
one.
and you start again. And I think that's actually something that I've had in my garden as well, because although I'm about 3/4 an hour down the road, I'm just over the other side of the Lincolnshire Wolds, but I also get those sort of freezing fogs and it really settles.
Come out with a torch and you go, wow.
It looks beautiful, but
it isn't.
No. That it traps the cold and the humidity and moisture down at that low level, doesn't it? And it does create issues. But looking down here, it's as though winter never happened, and there's so many beautiful bits of foliage. And I love that hellebore there.
Yeah. I've got to cut these off. There's all these little jobs. I must do that.
Don't worry, it's plenty of time.
There's hundreds of jobs
Plenty
like that.
of time.
This one, it was fabulous.
Wow. It's very beautiful.
And I've already cut the thing, all the old leaves and the thing off, and then it sends up. So for the rest of the year, we've got this remarkable foliage.
I do like that. Do you know the name of that
and
one?
And it will get tall.
I'm testing you now, aren't I? Testing you.
I've got head like a leaky
No,
bucket.
don't worry about it. I appreciate seeing all the different hellebores, to be fair, and all the beauty. And there's so many different, selections and forms and varieties here that.
I'm not very good at keeping the tags in everything.
Oh, don't worry about it. I think as we head further around this way, there's some really special areas of your garden. So to me, tell people about this area here.
Well, this was originally our main pond, and a couple of years back, it was just before COVID. Good marker for time, isn't it? That was.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Seems like it was a couple of years ago, but it's fall already, isn't it? Yeah.
And we'd had a year or two of it, the liner leaking somewhere. It would be fine and then suddenly drop. And we tried fixing it. We did all what you do. Then thought, okay, so that summer coming up, we called it the swamp instead and just let everything grow. It looked quite effective. I grew quite fond of it, but knew we had to do something. So I said, okay, we're going to have it as a sunken area.
Yeah.
For sitting in. Or
so
this
obviously
time
that's
of
a
year.
temporary construction, isn't it? There,
somewhere, but it's not a good idea really because it doesn't get enough sun on it for long enough yet.
No, but as people will see, your capacity for growing new plants is at maximum levels, isn't it? We'll see that later on.
And so now it's a nice area. Yeah. The fire pit goes in them. I always wanted one of those. It's a lovely when people come. But at the back, I still got water though, just wildlife type. And behind all that, there's rocks around the back and a little pre-formed one that I got off at place.
See at the back there,
there. But the plants are just going wild at the minute.
No, I've got to say, it's a beautiful spring day now. That wind's just calmed down. Yeah. See the butterflies dancing around the tree ferns. It really does look lovely. And looking across here, a lot of people, they like to look at plants practically, myself included, and plant for the right conditions and all that. But looking across here, you've got a mixture of pond plants, haven't you? The sort of ligularia, the sort of marginals, the boggy plants. We've got the big Trachycarpus, the exotics growing over here. Then at the back, you've got euphorbia.
That was a seedling I found somewhere.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
I plonked it in there, so it is like, in effect, a raised bed. I wanted some height in there.
And that can cope with the sort of dry conditions, the root competition.
Yeah, so I just stuck it in there. Okay, it's a nice leaf. I'll just stick that there for now.
No,
and it's growing like mad and it's really happy. So I might regret putting it there at some time. I don't know.
So essentially you've got a mixture of really tough and hardy shrubs and trees at the back there.
And there's a persicara just popping up through. Which
and they can grow in anywhere, can't they, as well?
Virginiana, and that's one I particularly like, and it will get tall through the months.
Beautiful. So here we've got a couple of bamboos in pots, haven't we, which I know a lot of people prefer to grow them in large pots to keep them running around the garden. Obviously this one's a Fargesia at this end here, so it's not going to spread massively, but there are other runners which are certainly safer confined to these large barrels, and I think they look beautiful really. They give a nice bit of structure to the area, don't they?
And in the barrel you get the extra height sooner. We usually stand a large growing canna in a pot there, and by the time everything is grown tall and up on the raised island, the other side of the bridge there, it's like the little jungle walk through there when everything comes up.
So you can't be a secret garden and see the whole thing in one go, can you?
No.
It's all about that mystery and intrigue,
in the winter,
isn't it?
you can look down and you think, well, I never usually see it like this.
No.
You know? But in summer, no, it feels bigger than it is because you never see it all at once.
Regardless of what kind of gardening style people are into, you've got to appreciate these beautiful tulips over there. They're just sort of stunning, don't they, in that beautiful April sun?
Yeah, they do.
April sun is really a novelty, isn't it, this year as well? So it's definitely the right day to come across and see everything. I know a lot of my sort of growers will be interested in these plants here, won't they? So
I bought it. It was sort of just sat on its own at a garden centre, and it was cheap. And I just thought, well, I'll stick it in. I do when it's going to be really bad. It does improve, because we're only just out of winter.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's bad weather, I do throw something over it. It's not quite as tough. Our baby Schefflera, this is a different form. Would it?
I do like that.
Could it be the Needham's form of that? I can't remember what Rob said now.
I know a lot of Schefflera.
It's very red, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of variability, isn't there?
It's a Taiwaniana.
Yes.
But and I've got a big one round there, but I thought, that'll be a nice place. I try and visualise when it gets tall.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a beautiful sort of large shrub or small tree there, won't it? And I think this time of year, when you can see that new growth, it's just so graceful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they put on so much height so quickly, don't they?
They do, yeah.
That'll grow maybe a foot or two of trunk in the next month or so.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. And just looking across, I mean, to me, it's this sort of gorgeous mixture of beautiful lime, vibrant greens.
And you can have
tulips.
perfume in your garden, right?
Oh, yes.
From winter. I've got several Sango-Kaku confusa. I decided to get 1 or 2 more and spread them back because the insignificant little creamy white flower on it really packs a punch with scent on a milder winter day if it's not blowing, you know.
Oh,
and it's
definitely.
a joy to walk down and think, oh.
Yes.
And the Daphnes, I've got 3 different Daphnes now. There's one there, you can just
just
see the pink flowers on it.
The bees are loving it, aren't they?
Yeah, and there's another one over there that's now those Smyrnium have popped up all over the place.
No, it looks lovely.
But when all this spring stuff disappears, it's the time when we're bringing out most of our exotics. It's full-on exotic later on.
People will see that when I come back later in the year, won't they?
Yeah, it's going to change. But the point with this is you can, especially if you've got an other half likes to see flowers and pretty things, you can combine, if you're careful what you choose and got main big leaves and your exotics, you can please everybody, hopefully.
Definitely. You can have the flowers, you can combine that sort of, whether it's a cottage style, whether it's sort of Japanese style, a lot of it works really well with the exotics, doesn't it?
And there's so many hardy plants that have fantastic foliage. You don't need too many tender plants, really. In fact, I've always said, if you can grow yourself some ricinus and stick those in what you've got, you'll see an instant transformation.
Oh, yeah. You'll get garden in 3 months, won't you?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's a cheap and easy transformation to get that feel, isn't it?
Certainly. So I mean, you've actually got a lot of plants in here, like the persicaria that I grow. And I've also added a couple of Secret purple gem to my garden for the same reason that you have. Yeah, they fit in, but equally they give that extra something in winter, don't they?
Yeah, and of course the Sango-Kaku and the Daphnes, they're evergreen structure.
Certainly.
So it's nice to
when it comes to spring interest, obviously here, I mean, well, there's a few plants here I think we need to talk about. This is something that I haven't mentioned much on my channel because I've only got a very small one growing at the minute.
Yeah.
Which variety is this?
Macropodum, Daphniphyllum.
Daphniphyllum, macropodum. Yeah. I don't know if it was one of the sort of subspecies or anything.
I don't think so.
But
I'm sure that's what I bought it as anyway.
It really is stunning.
But it's gorgeous, yeah. It's such a lovely...
I'm presuming you do, but if any of my followers or people watching this don't follow Pan Global Plants, check them out. They put up some pictures recently, and if you look at those pictures, you'll know why you want this plant in your garden. It's one of those plants that, yes, it's an evergreen, yes, it has flowers and all that, but it's this beautiful new growth that sort of erupts out of the plant that just looks so stunning, doesn't it?
It does.
It really is a beauty.
The Trillium hiding under there. It's probably not the best specimen I've ever seen in the dark. But look how dark it is under there.
Yes, you can see I'm having to really adjust the camera.
It's really happy.
I do love Trilliums. I know you've got to be patient with them, haven't you? If you want something that delivers that sort of just beautiful spring interest and something really sort of individual, unusual, they definitely tick the box,
and
don't
if they like you, they're going to bulk up a bit.
Well, slowly, but yes.
Even things, I know this looks a bit random, just plonked here, but we'll see other places.
Yeah.
The cyclamen.
No, I like the leaves on it.
Especially the hedropholium. Which is the ones that flower later in the autumn time.
Yeah.
But I don't care if they flower or not, basically, but I've got several now, and some of them get really quite large leaves, and the different patterns and varieties, they're so variable. And if they like it, they'll spread, and they're just gorgeous if you like foliage.
I mean, just look at how much, everywhere you look, it's just a beautiful picture, isn't it? And I like the way you did say before we started filming that most of your time in the garden you just spent sort of wandering around. Obviously you do some of the work, it's not just Roger, but
oh no,
just it's the daydreaming.
We have different jobs in the garden.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it needs to be for both your sanities really. But I like just the way you can have an area like this in your head and it can just sort of run around, can't it, sort of night after night, and then suddenly think that's how it needs to work. And to have a garden that's as full as this in April and still have a tropical display later in the year, it really is stunning.
It's getting harder.
Oh yeah,
to find space because everything's matured. Not too house proud with a garden, shall we say?
Oh no. I appreciate you showing people around today, really, because it is literally, this is your sort of busy time of the year, isn't it? Things are just getting
so
going.
Much to do. In fact, along the back there, look, I've got to come with me garden bag. I cut it all down about 3 weeks ago, and it's all just left at the back. And I must go and clear that up.
No, don't worry.
I will do.
It's sort of fascinating seeing it behind the scenes, if you like, isn't it? And seeing a time of year when August you open, this part of the year, this is your garden. This is what you want to see. And some really beautiful sort of take-home tips, and obviously lovely palm there. So
that's done really well. That one. I think it's the only one in the garden that's kept its fronds all the way down.
I mean, that is the number one sign that a palm's healthy, isn't it? If it's got lush green leaves all the way down, they're a lovely dark green colour like this.
Yeah,
that palm is very happy. Not all of mine do that.
We're not perfect here by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no one is, are they? But I think this, I mean, they don't get much better than this, really. And to me, that's another big advantage of growing plants from small, especially palms, is that you get these leaves running all the way up. It's a much healthier looking plant.
Yeah.
And if you buy one with a large trunk, yes, it gives that instant impact, which is fantastic, but you don't really have this kind of health to it, do you?
No.
And looking back, I mean, just such a beautiful view. Even April, which is nowhere near the tropical season, it's the hardy palms that make it, isn't it? And
yeah, I tend to go for creating an overall feel, which I think I've still got that exotic feel in the garden even now.
Yeah.
I'm not a person who's particularly specimen plants, do you know?
No.
It's not
I
my
understand.
thing. I like a garden to be as a whole and to be just a lovely place to be and have that overall exotic feel to it, which gets more and more as the season goes through.
I think you certainly achieve that. And I know gardening definitely makes you think about how you work as a person, doesn't it? And you sort of dig into these things. And I know I'm sort of very practical, very logical, and I planted my garden, started with a specimen, but I'm very aware that it's a journey, and I know I want to work towards something like this sort of blend of plants.
Yeah, it doesn't just happen. You can't, you know, we've been gardening since, for 30 years now. But it never was like, I didn't even know about the existence of a lot of the plants. I didn't have all these Trachycarpus.
Well, some of the plants that are in there that we'll see later on, I don't think many people watching this will have heard of them, will they? They're almost brand new to cultivation. There's some real stunners in there, but to me, one of the sort of biggest strengths of your garden is the way that you can create a picture or create an area.
Something other people can take away and do. If they've got a smaller garden, they can say, I'd like it like that.
Just looking at this area here, if you've got a very small shady garden, I just love the way that...
Butterfly on the table.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh,
just flown away. That's it. Yes, I've cursed it now, haven't I? Cursed it. I just love the sort of... We've stood a few metres away from here and talked for 5-10 minutes, but standing in here, it just feels completely different, doesn't it?
Yeah, different area.
That extra shade, having everything raised up around you, and obviously the big laurel really dominates the planting.
We've really, last year and this term, I've been hacking back on this, because people don't always realise they actually grow to massive trees.
Oh, they grow huge, don't they? Yes.
My biggest bugbear is that now, because it's kept taller and it's mature, it flowers, then it makes the seeds. Then a good job I like weeding, because there's loads of seedlings of laurel. Look at the
I'm just looking at them
today. Two different ones there, yeah.
Just love the sort of character, the personality, and you're not afraid of going big, are you? Like
no.
With a stumpery, some people just get one bit of log, put that in, and think, yeah, that's stumpery. But here, you've got huge chunks of wood over there.
And it's lovely in the winter to be able to see it all. So
all the epimediums there.
Going under there.
So this is why I grow them as well, just that easy, effortless ground cover. They just do the thing, beautiful flowers in spring, but they don't, by themselves, again, they're not a specimen plant, they're not an exotic thriller, but as a plant that simply does its thing, provides that greenery, that lush sort of covering of beautiful leaves.
And that's part of making up an exotic garden. Isn't necessarily specimen plants where you need some, obviously. It's creating that lushness, and it all blends together. It's a bit like painting a picture. That's how I do my garden, really. In my head, I think in pictures, I think.
My background sort of creatively is in photography, and to me, being able to see a picture is the same as being able to see a border. And again, this is something we were speaking about earlier. It's sort of looking at a border and thinking, this bit isn't quite right, this bit needs a bit more height, this bit needs a bit more balance, and just really experimenting. And rather than looking at a checklist of plants you need to grow, it's really about completing a picture. So we'll lots of the plants which you can get at any garden centre or nursery. So we've got the Opiopogon, the black mondo grass over there.
And the bits of the... Look, I haven't cleaned it up.
Oh, you can see
we
the
wrap
trunk.
our tree ferns in that loft insulation in the winter.
So
I haven't gone round to do the nitpicking yet. Keep hoping the birds might pinch it.
They might do, yeah. But even like here, you've got daylilies and you've got hostas. So it's not just about having a tree fern and thinking, right, which filler plants do I want around it. It's about exploring what you want to grow there, to find out what light conditions, and also creating that full picture with a lot of normal garden plants. So I think we'll head around a bit further and see.
I've still got all the old fronds to cut off a lot of the ferns yet, you know. I mean, I need to do that sooner next year, because I noticed the other. I thought, what's that bit of colour showing? The poor old thing stretched. Look.
April's that time of year where...
Yeah, everything wants doing at once.
Yes, that's it. Spring feels like it's been such a long time coming, particularly this year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then, before you know it, May's on the horizon and it's time to go again.
There were lovely flowers on that erythronium there, but obviously the slugs and things have really liked it.
But you just leave it to it, and as part of the bigger picture, it doesn't make a difference, does it?
They'll all disappear. They go underground for summer.
So, sort of summer dormant, aren't they?
So if you're a bit careful where you plant things, this is what I struggle with, to have all these things, and I spend more time thinking about it than actual planting, because...
But that's wisdom, isn't it? That's what I should be doing sometimes.
Yeah, but you know, it's in here it doesn't apply, but in other places in the garden we have to dig big holes and plant things in just for the summer. So you don't want to be digging up all these little plants. So you get them nearer to a structure or to a base of a tree and things like that. In here it's not a problem, but
that's actually one of my sort of tips, or something I've always sort of instinctively done. Whenever I'm planting a big palm or something, I always mix in some of the permanent ground cover around the roots, and that way you can be sure they're not going to be disturbed, can you? Whereas you don't want to be digging up those palm or tree roots every time you're planting your summer bedding out.
And I mean, I've been gardening for years, but it's only, it's in the last 5 years, well, maybe longer, a few years anyway, that I've suddenly learned how you get a tree fern.
Yes, I was going to talk about this plant.
The mat of roots, you probably can plant into it, but you need to chisel it out.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a bit tricky. So
I know people can sort of see, you probably can't really see, but looking at the surface of the ground there, it is densely covered in a mat of roots. And there was a sort of myth running around that they don't create roots, wasn't there, at one point?
Yeah, they do, but they spread out and make a mat.
Yeah, the top layer of the soil, they absolutely dominate it.
Yes, I mean, I've got this little Epipactis here.
Yeah.
Thor, it's the variety, and we saw one up there near the sunken garden, and it's up here and it's got all its variegation and it's beautiful. This one, it's taken all this time just to try and get its head through this mat.
But it's made it. And
yeah.
I think really probably the best sort of practical tip is if you're looking for plants to go around large trees, shrubs, palms, tree ferns, is choose plants that naturally love the shady conditions, and also plants that are naturally sort of forest, woodland dwellers. They can often cope, can't they, with that intense root competition. They flower early in the season, and you really get that interest at the start of the season.
You could always put a bit of extra compost over the top
and
have things that spread.
Definitely.
Like laying across it to hide it. Otherwise, you've got a big, uninteresting bare patch eventually, because it won't happen straight away. But I see some plants now that were in here that are beginning to suffer. They're phlox. We always do the Chelsea chop on ours.
And is that Pachysandra is at the back there?
Yes, yeah.
The creep
that was
cover?
only went in last year, so
it's never done very well for me, but in other places it seems to spread very well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it might be a bit on the dry side in here, so I need to keep putting a bit of compost on and doing stuff around here. This is the most I've ever had planted in this area before, because I got so fed up of seeing it looking empty this time of year. So it's like, watch this space and see how it goes on.
Now, I know that a lot of people will be watching this section thinking, yes, all this about ground covers is great, but let's see that tree fern, because this one, you've got a name for this one, haven't you?
Bruce.
This is Bruce the tree fern.
He came with the name, we didn't pick. That's what it was called at the garden centre where we bought it. But
he is a stunning tree fern, isn't he?
Yeah.
2 heads, and just look at all those new crosies ready to come out. It doesn't get much better than this, does it, with tree ferns? It
came in a big pot, so it got roots on it already. It had been at the garden centre for a few years before we went and rescued it.
No, it really is a stunner, and I love the way you've chosen to plant it here, where a lot of people instinctively put big plants at the back of a border. Whereas here, yes, I'm completely with you here.
Yeah, don't
hide them.
Don't be scared of putting larger plants at the front. Same with that.
If you want that real immersion in the garden, you need to be walking past the tall plants, don't you? And obviously here you've got a little bit more space than me. Mine are probably a little bit too close, but I love the way that you're actually walking under the fronds, and it really takes it to the next level.
In the summer, when all the bananas are up and the petasitis, there's quite a lot of ducking and diving can go on in this garden.
And I'm excited to see that this year. Beautiful acer up there as well.
It's just another leaf shape to me, and it's one that I can't remember its name, but I bought it at the time knowing that it was okay if your soil wasn't acidic.
Well, it's certainly doing very well for you, isn't it?
It's done really well, yeah.
How long's that one been in the ground?
Do you know what? I can't remember. Donkey's years.
It was one of the early plants you put in, was
definitely,
it? Oh, so we're talking best part of 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful tree, that, isn't it? Beautiful
is.
tree. And I'd always recommend people plant trees in their gardens. If you think just too much about summer display and a few palms here and there, you sort of miss out on really one of the true sort of valuable things you can take from a garden, which is seeing trees grow year after year, planted from small.
And it's variety of foliage again. And this looks lovely in the autumn when it's yellow leaves. And through the winter, I can look out the bedroom window now. And
can you look out that window down there? I don't know if you can see. We'll be heading up there later on, but just look at that. Just bananas in the window. But you can see past them, can't you? Yeah,
but it's the stems, you can see little bits of it left now. You don't notice it now, but they're pink.
It's not Sango-Kaku, is it?
It could be.
Because that's got a very sort of strong coral red. Now I look at the newer growth, actually, it could be.
I think it could be that. It did start with an S.
we'll say it's Sango-Kaku, but if there's any Japanese maple experts watching, then feel free to correct me.
Yeah, please do.
Beautiful tree, but I think that's maybe what it is.
But it's nice to see that pink in the winter when there's no leaves, you know.
Certainly. I love this little area, and then obviously you've got the more practical areas, which I won't show, but it's good that you've actually got them, you've screened it off, and you need to leave areas for practical things.
Dumping ground.
Of course you do, yeah.
Everyone has a dumping ground.
I just try not to show mine in my videos, but there's plenty of them.
When everything grows up here, because that
it's Persicaria, is it?
Persicaria there, it's Wallichii, and it's massive. You won't
sort of 6 foot.
You won't see in there.
No.
It's massive, and then late in the season it flowers. It's a perfumed one as well.
Oh wow!
So I walk through here up and down, think, ooh, that's nice. You know?
Yeah, it's Roger trying out some new deodorant.
You can't imagine. It looks nothing now, but when it's up there, it's amazing. This will get tall.
It's got the same colour as Red Dragon, but the leaves are definitely bigger and
and it grows differently. It doesn't go. Red Dragon is behind you over there, and it spreads itself.
They vary, don't they?
Yeah, in other places.
I love this little picture here, and I keep saying it, but like your garden, it's just such a collection of small pictures and views. And this one, really, I mean, you've got the Impatiens there, you've got Hellebores at the back. There's just such a variety of foliage.
If anybody wants to know what this is, it's Smyrnium perfoliatum.
You're going to give me some fun putting captions over this, aren't you?
Yeah. It's something I tried to grow myself, set seeds in trays and things donkey's years ago. Never survived, never did it. Probably you want fresh seed, which is the issue with an awful lot of plants and seed growing. But I was given a clump of little seedlings, put them in the ground. She told me to mark the spot because they'll go underground and disappear. And I've had them ever since. And I collect seeds and just chuck them around. Now I'm thinking, oh, whoa, maybe I've got too many now, but
no, you can always take them out,
can't you? Just weed out the ones you don't want.
I think that's part of gardening, isn't it? It's basically changing the weeds to weeds that you want to see.
Yeah, but it's such a, when they get out fully, they're going to get taller, they get quite tall. They just seem to keep going up once they start flowering.
I love that sort of lime green pop because anyone can grow tulips and plants like that and get the bold colours, but it's really the greens that contrast and complement them well. And even like the daylilies down there.
Oh no, we're okay.
I wasn't going to look at that.
They can carry on. We've got bonking ladybirds there.
Ladybirds can do that, can't they?
They can do that, but not the red lily beetles.
No, you want to watch them at the minute, aren't you?
They get the thumbnail.
So this tree here, we obviously can't walk past this.
No, Acacia pravissima.
Yes, the one with the really angular leaves to it. Yeah. It really is a beautiful foliage plant, but at this time of year, that yellow is just so exotic, isn't it?
It is. It's not,
It's
I
a
love
beautiful
tree. I mean, it's very lanky. I mean, I don't know if it would grow differently, how it would respond to pruning, but I tend to like things a bit wilder looking.
Yeah.
Natural looking. Then everything blends together and creates this picture.
Yeah, if everything's wild, then you're there, aren't you?
Yeah.
So let's just have a look. I mean, I should point out to people, at this end of the garden, it really is more of a summer display, but I think people appreciate seeing some of the plants like the Musa Basjou. So this is what they look like in April. As you can see, one tatty leaf pointing out the top. Perfectly normal, isn't it? These plants haven't got going yet.
No.
But did you protect this here in your garden?
They were wrapped up. We did, as you can probably see, the straw. We did it with straw this time. In a few months, you can get some of this grotty tat off. This is encroaching quite a way out, so there's going to be some ducking and diving going on down
maybe a
here.
few crucial sort of leaves tactically removed.
And these are on their way to being giants.
Is that the Petasites?
It is, yeah.
Someone actually asked me recently, would I plant it in the ground or would I grow it in a pot? What's your advice from your experience?
Well, I've got another one over there that's a variegated one, the round leaf type variegated
that's actually the one they're asking about, yeah.
And I did try it over there in a pot, and it didn't like it.
No.
It didn't like it. But that could be that it got a bit on the dry side, and with so much in this garden it could easily get missed.
Oh yeah, and you can dry it in a day, can't you?
So you might succeed with it in a pot if you haven't got so much to look after that you forget it's there.
I think it was more the invasiveness concern.
It is, but I've let it out again now.
Oh well, there we go. You're probably not the best person to ask, are you? Because you're happy to just let things do the thing.
Well, we do.
That was obviously spreading around a little bit further.
So I mean, there is some. We've actually been parting with some of this on my page.
Spreading the love around. Yes.
Yeah, and so I just dig out the bits that offend me. I mean, these grotty bits. With these, the flowers stalks come up first. They're not pretty, and they're done with now. But you know, it really doesn't matter. But you don't see those.
No.
It's just all about the leaves.
Is this a new addition, the Clematis amandii?
Yeah. I used to have the deciduous one, the Tangutica. I used to cut it right back down to about 2 foot each year, and it'd come up and cover all this and go everywhere really. It had the yellow flowers. It was lovely, but I just fancied something evergreen on this wall. So, and I always wanted an armandii. So
I've actually planted one literally last week against where I'm going to put a trellis. But I love the sort of reinforcing mesh.
It's brilliant stuff.
I very nearly went for that. Instead I've just gone for sort of slatted timber, but I do like it.
Timber rots. So
it does, yeah.
We're trying to create less work now. As I'll explain down
I'll literally say this to Roger. As a general rule, I don't like using timber. I prefer using the stone or whatever where I can. But the bit that I'm talking about is maybe not 100% permanent. But here, that'll last for years. You can get this from a builder's merchant for, I want to say, around £30 a panel, something like that.
So it's Roger, I can't remember.
No, it's not hugely expensive. It hides nicely on brickwork. It's got a beautiful sort of rusty look to it, which is very in vogue these days, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It blends in.
And then your Clematis amandii is the perfect evergreen plant to scramble up there and beautiful flowers this time of year.
My son's got one, and he said it just seemed to sit there the first year, its roots down. But now his is up, and on this same
the vigorous, aren't they?
The metal gridding, it's really going for it this year, and it looks lovely. So this has only just gone in a few weeks ago, so it probably I need to get some of our good manure around it.
Yeah, and that'll really set it off.
Yeah.
So what we'll do, we'll just head through here, obviously past your beautiful Vivax bamboo there, the Phylostachys. That's gorgeous, isn't it? And I love the sort of the black trellis in here. Really sets it off, doesn't it?
And I'll tell you what else is coming out here. So the cyatheas that we have down there.
Oh, right,
we kicked them out the conservatory now. We've got a really good sized Medullaris, which, as you know, is black, and I tend to plant that in there.
Yeah, I'm sure that looks stunning.
Because it'll get less sun because T-Rex is going to...
Yes, we'll have a quick look at the T-Rex. Is that summer substance or is
it's Empress Wu.
I was thinking it was Empress Wu, I just said the wrong one there. Yeah. You got the sort of like a glaucous, with slightly bluey tinged leaves, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think it's still developing in there, because originally when I got it, I had it on the centre of that big island bed that we saw earlier. And it was humongous. And the flowers stood right up. And it was out in the open in the sun there. Yeah. But it loved it. But the trouble is, it was taking over the rest of the bed.
You want that balance and variety, don't you?
We dug it up, split it, passed on the love with that one. And put the other bit here.
So it's a lovely hosta, and it's a perfect contrast to that beautiful golden bamboo. But as we head through here, we'll just show people quickly, because this area is definitely work in progress. It's Roger's propagation city, isn't it? Hard at work over there. Only working hard because he knows we're filming, isn't he? But people want to see, this Trachycarpus is a probably beast is more appropriate than beauty, isn't it?
It's been there quite a lot of years now.
I think it really shows people the size that they can get to, and also that you just leave this, don't you? You don't protect it or anything.
Oh, no.
It's deciduous in winter essentially, because the leaves all die off, but you just let them come out again in spring. And this, when I come back in summer, is going to have the most amazing canopy of leaves, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is a stunner. And looking across, we've got a loquat tree over there, which is one of the most sort of popular evergreen exotic trees that I hear people asking about.
Yeah.
Do you do anything for that at all? Have you given it any special soil?
It was planted as a small plant, and it seemed to sit there for a long while getting its feet down, but then it sort of romped away. But also with this, you can hack bits off, doesn't mind at all.
That's good to know.
Yeah, you hack it away and it'll fill it out. It'll fill itself out again. It's not a problem.
And doesn't it look splendid against that blue sky?
Yeah.
A blue sky is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
No, it really is lovely. So we'll just have a quick look around here. So these are some new beds that you've just made this past winter, haven't you?
Yeah, well, there always was little raised beds here, but the dreaded wood, and they were not square. They were angled in, and the wood rots so quickly. So we're getting a bit long in the tooth, and we didn't want to have to do it again. So we've took the bull by the horns and got the metal, and so we've made them square now, which has given a bit of extra planting room on them.
Yes, which is always a priority.
And somehow we've ended up with a bit better,
paths.
wider paths. It was gravel, which was a pain in the backside. So we've done the slate now, and I'm really happy with it. I think it looks quite smart. And this will fill up.
Oh, yes.
We'll plant some, there'll be brugmansias, there'll be cannas and all sorts growing down here.
No, we'll pop back and see this bit in summer, because I think it really is a transformation. While we're at this end, before we head back and look at some of those unusual plants inside, there's some absolutely amazing tulips here. And are there any particular sorts you'd recommend to people wanting to grow in exotic gardens, or is it just a case of if it's red, if it's purple, if it's orange, go for it?
If you like it, grow it.
There we go.
I mean, they're going to disappear for in the summer when all the exotics really show their face. So if some people are like, ooh, tulips in an exotic garden. If you like it, plant it.
That is all you need to say.
It's I
love the really vivid colours you've gone for as well.
And it gives you something to enjoy this time of year, if you can enjoy tulips, which I can.
I appreciate them. When you see them dancing around in the sun, like today, there's no exotic plants that look this colourful this time of year, are there really? So.
And there's all different kinds. When you start looking, I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. These I ordered at Harrogate show last year off the display, so I saw them.
But that's,
and you think, oh, that one and that one. And you can get a sheet, make a list, pay for it, what you've ordered, and they'll send them out to you back end when you need to think about planting them.
Lovely.
And there's big ones, there's little ones, there's the little species tulips, which I can't see any around today.
I might go for some of those, I think, in my garden, to be honest.
Yeah.
But no, I love the sort of mixture, and again, you've repeated the Butia palm, haven't you? You've got more grasses up there.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it comes together later in the year.
So, I mean, these looks like sticks at the minute, but they'll fill out. It's a Butilon Thomsonii.
Yes.
It's not long come out of the greenhouse, so we've planted it out, and that'll all green up and look better. But we don't mind having bare legs at the bottom, because when summer when we plant up, there'll be so much other stuff there.
So this has been a sort of very nice, pleasant walk around your garden, looking at all the plants, but what people might not realise is the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, the amount of propagation you do. And Roger's quickly darted off because he saw us filming, but I'll just show people the amount you open for the NGS, don't you? So you raise a lot of money through your admissions for charity, but you also sell plants. And just look at the amount of dedication and effort that Roger goes to. He told me this is it when it's messy, but looking inside, everything's neat and organised.
Oh,
it's amazing, isn't it?
He cleared it all out the other day.
That's more like it, yeah.
Basically, because there's a lot of big plants stood down the left-hand side, and I've got to trim them up now for him. And he took the bubble wrap down.
Proper production line, isn't it? He told me it's like cutting up to a 1 litre pot, then straight up to a 5 litre, and getting them ready to sort of sell later on when you open in summer.
There's buds on a brugmansia in there, I've just noticed.
Just looking at all you cut. Now, I find it fascinating, and anyone who puts this much effort into propagation and getting plants going, I mean, it just really is incredible. I'm in awe of all the gingers here, the cannas, and if you grow a lot of exotic plants and you're watching this, seeing a greenhouse or polytunnel like this really lets you glimpse of what this garden's going to be like in summer, doesn't it? Yeah. The amount of growth and flowers.
These are temporary polytunnels. They're about 60 or quid. So, in a few weeks when it's time, we'll take these down, stick them in the loft, and they'll come out again next year. So
that's basically what I do with mine.
Quite good value, aren't they?
I went for a 4x2 one, and I think it was a little bit more than that, but not a huge amount. And it's worth it just to keep the plants frost-free and ready. And
we started off with this one here so that it was easier to move things around.
Just look at all the cannas. I've got to say one thing, people, if you're watching this, I'll link in the description below to your Facebook page, the Secret Garden of Louth. If you join it, you sell a lot of plants through the year, don't you? So
we have to move them on sometime when they're ready.
You
some things we move on early because It's space issues here, you know, can't keep them all for the open days, we ain't got room.
Oh, no. And one of the things I like is that you actually sell things at reasonable prices as well.
Oh,
It is very much a passion, this, isn't it? A real sort of hobby probably doesn't go far enough, does it? So,
not quite, we're bonkers, but...
well, I'll let you say that.
Yeah.
But on that note, I think we'll head up the far in the garden and show people inside the conservatory
Okay.
a quick look at what's going to happen later in the year.
Another little acer there, look.
That's a beautiful purple one, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Our blue bamboo, we managed to get some off it.
Oh.
So we've put it in there and hoping it's going to settle down and grow there, so we'll have the blue stemmed.
And that'll look magnificent next to this little birch, won't it?
Yeah,
it's got a beautiful white bark. Yeah. Blue over there,
you
really
can
will
see
be a picture.
the main blue plant up the top.
Yeah, well, in fact, we'll head back and look at that. And there's one special plant that I also want to look at on the way, so let's have a quick look.
Okay.
So as we're heading back inside, what's this vicious brute of a plant over here?
It's Kalopanax septemlobus, and it's a variety called Maximovici.
Wow.
So
Well remembered.
Nick Macer said that's the variety you want, so that's the one.
That's beautiful,
I waited
isn't
and
it?
waited until I could get one, and I have.
It's thorny, but I love that new growth on it.
I like weird.
Yeah, definitely. That shows, and I think most people watching this will agree that's
I've got
that's where the exciting plants
couple of Aralias in there. That one over there, I really love that Taiwan.
Oh yeah, I can see it over there. Yeah,
and another different one here.
And then the Pseudopanax, which is the king of weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
it has to be.
Yeah, there's all sorts around. I mean, you'd be here a long time catching all the plants.
This video could literally be days long, couldn't it?
It could actually.
It will be. It will be probably one of my longer videos.
People say to me, "How many plants have you got?" I said, "Please don't ask."
Oh no, it's not.
I have not a clue.
It's a lot, but as we're heading through, there is one plant that I wanted to show people because I think more than any other, the transformation into summer will be stunning, hopefully. And it's this one here. This is a Paulownia, isn't it?
It looks dead, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And this is something, when I came a few years ago, this plant, the transformation into late summer, it is unreal. The height this plant reaches, we're talking probably, an extra 10 foot of growth just over the course of summer.
Oh, easily.
And you've brutally chopped it back like this, but new buds appear, don't they?
Yeah.
In fact, you probably see them.
I can see, yay, good.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm always scared when we do it that I'm going to kill it, but yes, there's buds just starting to appear. So
you can see them everywhere.
I shall rub them off and leave the two that I want.
That's it. So when do you chop this back, or when does Roger chop it?
We did it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Got you. So sort of end of March, early April.
Yeah.
You chop it back really harshly. You then wait for the buds to appear, hopefully during April, and you select the strongest one or two, don't you?
Yeah, and bear in mind what direction they're going to be growing.
That's key.
That.
Yeah.
As a guide for when to do it, because I'm always a little bit scared about
yes.
it. But when the top growth that you've left on from last year, when it starts budding up, then I think, okay, it wants to go now.
The sap's rising and it's good to go. And this plant, when we come back, it's, to people who don't grow this, it essentially looks like a gigantic sunflower, doesn't it? But with leaves probably 3 times the size, it really is a spectacle to see.
Yeah, humongous.
Excited to see that. But let's head up to the house, past your little jungle hut here.
Can you just give me a minute?
So here we're seeing some lily beetles.
Red lily dipped.
And as much as I'm a live and let live gardener.
Not these. I'm not squeamish, you might add. So there's
sort of
2 more down there that are busy making more red
dear.
beetles, so I'll have those in a second. They come out, you notice them more on a sunny day.
Yeah.
There they are, look. Got to get them quick though. If they get a chance, they'll drop over and land on their back, and then you can't spot them.
It's a sort of defence mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah.
They just drop straight to the ground. As soon as they flip over, they're just blend in with the soil, don't
but
they?
they just decimate all your lilies, and also the the fritillaria.
Yes, that's the sort of plant that gets them going through the start of
so
spring,
I'll probably come and have another look again later on. And
I don't blame you.
Oh look, I found another one here.
They are a real problem, aren't they?
Usually if you see one, there'll be a second one.
And the scent of the lilies just draws them in, doesn't it?
Yeah, oh, there's that one's partner. It's down here.
I think you're like me, live and let live, and an organic gardener for the majority of the time, but lily beetles really are a pest that can decimate our gardens, aren't they?
Your plant, and you never see your plant, so...
So no, I can understand that totally.
So I think it's better to do it that way than to be spraying it.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
So that there's other things you don't... I mean, there's a bee landed on a leaf a little while ago there, so...
Oh yeah, the second you spray, you then disrupting the ecosystem, aren't you?
Yeah, and later you need to look under the leaves, and you can see they've laid all their eggs black, and you can see all the tiny orangey coloured larvae inside. So you have to, it's disgusting, but you need to get your gloves on and
just
get it all off and mush it
it
up,
off.
you know.
But it's worth putting the effort in, doing it sort of manually, isn't it, and not spraying. As we head inside, I promised you that you'd see some rare plants in this video, and this certainly won't disappoint. If you thought the greenhouses at the Faraday garden were impressive, then I think this is very much the next level, isn't it? So we'll start off here. The Cyathias, they've come outside, haven't they?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of these, and here in Lincolnshire, Cyathias are a tender fern, aren't they? So they need ideally need to be frost-free over winter, don't they?
Yeah.
And you've got a lovely collection here, including one of my favourites, the Cythia medullaris, which now has a different name, I know, but
does it?
Really is. Yeah, there are
the
Cythia bit's changed, hasn't it?
Has it?
But I couldn't tell you how to pronounce it off the top of my head. But do you keep these in pots all year?
All through the winter, but this one actually is one that gets planted out down near that neck.
So you essentially lift them like a sort of bedding
and
plant.
put them in pots. Some stay in the pots.
So although in theory that might limit their eventual size, let's face it, you never protect a full size one anyway, would you? Because they get massive.
Yeah. And if we left it in the ground, it would just die. So.
Well, as mine did ultimately.
I think even
agree.
wrapping them, you'd be pushing your luck.
Oh, unless you have proper heated protection. Obviously, I appreciate you letting me see everything behind the scenes today, sharing it with everyone watching.
Yeah.
Got another polytunnel here. So just to show people the different levels, all these plants here were kept inside through winter, weren't they?
Yeah, they were in there in the conservatory.
And now you need the conservatory for even more tender plants starting from seed.
Yeah.
They've then moved across to here, haven't they?
Yeah.
So this isn't a low maintenance garden, is it?
No, it's a bit like an acclimatisation to outside. It's like a halfway house.
Hard enough, isn't it? Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not just going straight from a warm conservatory out into the battering winds and everything.
Got me Brassaiopsis hispida over there.
There we go.
And from Carl, we got a variegated Sparmania.
Oh, wow.
And that looked lovely. I planted that out last year and it grew like, I don't know what.
I've got to say, I am purposely not getting into this whole group of plants because I know how a lot of them cost a lot of money, don't they?
They do.
But I know the beautiful care that you take of them, they really are a credit to your garden. And to me, it's the reason why people watching my channel should definitely come to your garden, because it isn't just a tropical, quote, tropical display. There's everything here. There's some real rare plants, and this one here, this is one of your favourites, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
So.
And it's grown pretty quickly. I bought it as a plant about, 20 inches tall, October 2019.
And what's this plant for people who want to know?
Well, name's probably changed on this, but I'm not going to change. Oreopanax dactylifolius.
It really is beautiful. I love the sort of, I guess, gingery.
It is,
yeah. We'll say gingery. I can say that without being offensive. Indiventum to the leaves, a real sort of furry look to them. Beautiful foliage. And I think really once you get into your foliage plants, the exotic gardening sphere really has some beauties, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But looking around here, I mean, I'll just quickly push through here. I won't say quickly because I'm going to walk through very carefully, but the amount of sort of propagation you've got in the go, there's loads of cannas there, isn't there?
There's ricinus under the tunnel, look, most of the way up there.
So for people who are watching this, now is a good time to sow ricinus. You don't want to sow them much before April because they get too leggy, don't they?
Yeah, they bolt. Whereas
now is the perfect time to get them going, ready for a sort of early to mid-May planting outside. All these amazing cannas. Look at all these. It's amazing, this, isn't it? I think everyone who grows an exotic garden would love a lean-to like this. Just, I mean, is that a huge Scheffler over there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I got that last year.
That's a tender one, that, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, there's just everything, isn't there? There is just everything. And all the ensetis, do you grow those, or do you dry store them, or are they just kept in pots?
No, they stay in here. We cut them right back to just one leaf that they come inside with at the end of the year, but then they just keep growing in here. It's not heated.
No, but on a day like today with the sun out,
but
it's
it
warm,
rarely
isn't
goes
it?
below. It's got to be a really stinker of a winter if it goes below 7 in here, because it's onto the house, isn't it?
So this literally is a lean-to that butts onto the house.
Yeah.
Essentially a greenhouse kept frost-free over winter. It was actually coming here, seeing how you keep your bananas over winter, that when I was at our old house, that inspired me to keep them potted up.
Yeah.
And to me, it's the best way of keeping a big plant for the next year, isn't it? Because they keep ticking over all through winter, and as soon as it gets to spring, they're growing away. No, they really are stunners. And I mean, there's everything here, isn't there? There's everything. What are the plants that you really look forward to seeing grow outside in summer? Would this begonia be one of them?
Yeah, well, to be honest, when you've lived with this mess for so long, you're pleased to see all of them growing outside.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can imagine. For people who maybe have seen your garden in summer or they follow your Facebook page, I think it really is an eye-opener at just how much behind the scenes work there really is that goes into it. And you've obviously got a lot of the hardy exotic plants outside which stay out there all year.
Yeah.
But then you add into that a lot of these sort of semi-tender plants or the shrubs. You've then got the house plants that are really sort of hardened off and brought out for the summer. You then grow a lot of tender annuals, don't you?
You do.
You've got these tender bedding plants that go outside. There's so many sort of layers of gardening, isn't there?
And they all look rubbish this time of year when you've been storing them, because they don't really enjoy it any more than I enjoy having them here, to be quite honest.
The single goal is to keep them alive, isn't it? I think that's really the crucial thing.
Just keep everything ticking over.
Yes.
And then it's surprising how quickly they pull their socks up when you clean them up and get them outside. You know, a lot of stuff in here will get repotted and go into fresh compost, so you can imagine that it's quite a lot of hours work.
Everything is a task, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now I really am in awe of the amount of effort and time that goes into your garden, and when we see it later in summer, it'll be so worth it.
Lots of stuff that we're even having to hang plants in here now.
Yeah.
And
So for people who saw you on Gardener's World,
this bit wasn't here then.
No.
Believe it or not, this gets cleared out and all cleaned, and this is where we serve tea and cake on the open days. So that's another big job.
No, yeah. Every job you're describing to me with a 1-year-old sounds like a month-long job. But I know that you and Roger really put the time in to make it happen, and it really is stunning. And it's not just this, is it? Because inside your house you've got bedrooms full of brugmansias and bananas and. The dedication really is impressive.
I'll show you the room upstairs then.
We're going to head up then. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll have a look. Just wait for this. So this is the plant room then, or one of the plant rooms. And
one of them, yeah.
You've got some vitapods on the go, haven't you? These are amazing propagators. Just the amount of plants, it really is unreal.
It's been fuller than that, but some of things are always moving on, aren't they?
So it really is a sort of production. Well, that sort of takes a lot of the passion out of it, but there has to be so much organisation and time that goes into growing all these plants. And I mean, looking round, there's so many.
It used to be a bedroom.
Yes, but now you don't need it as a bedroom, so you might as well fill it with huge 6-foot cacti. Yeah.
Little Red Lily here. It's a double one. I bought that a few years ago, and so sadly that has to stay in as well. And some of these plants I got down at Great Dicksonia Plant Fair in 2019, and they were all quite small, but
and they're now huge plants.
Rocketing up.
So I guess your garden, it really is a case of you grow the plants that you want to grow in your garden in summer, and no matter the sort of madness and methods that are going to creating that garden, you will jump through any hoop you have to. And a lot of these are real house plants that make your garden just so incredible in summer.
Yeah, some of they mostly stay around that little bit that I call cosy corner, and around the patio there, and that big variegated monstera.
Oh yeah.
We had to take some bits out the top of that because it was too big to come in here, but I think it wants a repot and a good feed. As like everything else, it's stuck in the house and sulking, but it's alive.
For people watching this who maybe have a partner who isn't into exotic gardening, you know the tensions that can occur, but I think if you've got a partner that is as fully into it as you are, this is what can happen, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
It's no good being too house proud, No.
I've got a wife that helps limit my insanity when it comes to gardening, but I do enjoy.
No hope for us.
No, I do enjoy seeing the other side to it, and exactly what lengths you go to, and it really is stunning. And I know what, I'm looking forward to coming to your garden this summer and seeing just how it comes together. Yeah. This is another room, and these are brugmansia, aren't they?
Yeah, we were supposed to be turning this bedroom into an ensuite. We've still got the bath down the shed.
Yeah, you've got room for a toilet over there, haven't you?
Yes, it's handy in the night. Yeah. We was going to turn it into a Jack and Jill, so we could get from our bedroom. But
the building work's expensive.
I said, can't we do that and get the bath? I said, I'll stand them in the bath. No, you can't do that. So at least we've got a toilet and a basin up here.
This is a forest of brugmansias, isn't it? And they're all massive plants.
We've had to cut the tops out to get them in because they're touching the ceiling.
So you'd literally just lift these, put them in pots, and they're growing away, so they're obviously responding well to it, aren't they?
Because these seem to be the only plants we've found so far that will survive winter in this room. There's a lot of plants, strangely enough, but it's north facing.
So there's no light or very little light.
Not a lot of light. It's colder this side. It's an old house, so solid walls. So for whatever reasons, these are the plants that don't mind being in here for the winter. but they're sort of just all dragged out the ground, shoved in pots, cut back, and get them upstairs. We do enlist our son's help.
Yes, I was going to say, you want to drag other people in for this.
Didn't used to. I mean, a few years ago, I carried a load up, but it's got a bit beyond me now. So
I'm just in awe of. I knew, obviously, I've been to your garden a few times before. I knew or had an idea of the amount of effort that went into it, but the levels and layers of planting. If you've watched this and you're still watching through this sort of insanity and huge amount of obsessive effort, then just wait for summer, because it really comes together spectacularly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely worth it.
And there's going to come a time, obviously, that we just can't manage to do all this. You know, we're not getting any younger, same as everyone else. But that's part of my thinking also with plants that I'm buying now, that I'm future-proofing, so that when we can't do stupid things like carrying all these plants upstairs and you can't always put on your family to help you, then I've still got a garden with an exotic feel, and that's what I'm aiming for outside now. So
a lot of the hardier exotics, a lot of these spring perennials that come up, a lot of the shade-loving plants. And
when they take me out there, when with my Zimmer frame, you know, and
and you're still telling Roger, move that compost from there to there. Yeah,
I can sit there and still have a lovely garden.
So I think really, if you want some practical, low maintenance garden tips, this isn't the garden for you, is it? But if you really want to see what's truly possible in the UK, and what with love, effort, care, experimentation, and a lot of knowledge and experience built up over the years can create, I think your garden really is a fantastic example of that. And what I would say to people, follow Secret Garden of Louth on Facebook. I'll leave a link in my description below. And you're having some open dates in August, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I'll put a link to those below so people know when it's opening.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for showing me around.
You may as well.
Really appreciate your time. And I'm excited to come back later in the year and see how it all comes together again.
One thing I want to say is, if you think this is bonkers,
yes,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, if you've got we've got a decent sized garden. We didn't buy it with gardening in mind at the time. We had 4 children to house, so you can, if you've got a smaller garden, do the same thing on a much smaller scale. You know, you only need to have one nice brugmansia you really like. If you've got somewhere you can bring it in, because you can cut them back. And the same with other plants. If you've got a smaller garden, you don't need so many of the darn things anyway. And you can have a fantastic small garden. And sometimes I've wished I've had that, you know. I think, gosh, you know, I need so many more plants to make that atmosphere in our garden.
I'm the same. When it comes to filler plants, you need 5 or 10 of everything to sort of get the volume.
You know, don't beat yourself up because you've only got a small garden. As you know, people come here and see areas where it's broken up into areas, and there's things people have told me they've taken away because you can see that you can do this or that in smaller areas. It can be done. You can still have a beautiful exotic garden, you know.
And have a skim back through the video, and sometimes it can just be one planting combination, one plant that you didn't know you could grow inside over winter. It's just like one little spark of imagination that can completely transform an area of your garden, can't it? So hopefully there are some practical ideas dotted around in the madness and chaos that's currently out there. So I really have enjoyed seeing around, and I appreciate you helping us out with the video. So we'll see you very soon.